What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. Fet Collection 78 here. This is a big moment for me. This is my very first YouTube video, and I'm excited that my first review is going to be of an absolute beautiful figure. One of my grails. I've wanted this for years, maybe like 2 years. I think it only came out in 2020, but it is the cel-shaded Spider-Man from the 90s animated show. It's retro carded. Looks like it came out in the 90s. There's a little description of who he is, but we all know who Spider-Man is. But there's not much else to say, so let's get this guy open. So after getting him open and looking at him, there's a lot of really great sculpt details on here. They really captured that 90s look, especially with this head sculpt. Now, what I really like about this figure, the butterfly joints are okay, but I like how he can look all the way up and all the way down. Like, that's pretty good. Like on the newer Spider-Man figures, they have more of a ball joint kind of thing going on. That's okay, but I prefer this. He can move his arms up pretty high. He has the diaphragm joint. He can crunch that much forward and that much back. He has a lot of good articulation in the legs. He has a boot cut and a thigh cut. He can move his feet up and down, side to side, and he has pretty good range when it comes to trying to get him in those like Spider-Man poses. Now, one thing I did notice about him is the cel shading is it's pretty good. I like it, but I believe this is the same body mold that they've been using for the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. I don't have him on me currently, but I'll do a comparison later. But it looks about the same, just like from how he's built and like the butterfly joints and everything in the arms. So I do believe that that's the same body mold. I think the only thing new that we're seeing is the head sculpt. And the paint is just, it's very nice on this figure. I do have to say that. It's very nice. So he came with 2 pairs of thwipping hands and 2 wall crawling hands. But he also came with these really cool looking web effects. Like, I imagine you could put these on a wall or like on another figure's head and make it look like he shot them with a web. But these are pretty well detailed. These come with a lot of Spider-Man figures. I'm not the biggest fan of these, but they're not too bad. Really, the only downside to these is they're flexible, but you can't really do much with them besides like just sticking them on the figure like that with some sticky tack. These hands, though, are pretty great. The paint is pretty consistent with these. Not much complaints on these. On some of the fingers, though, the lines don't match up exactly, but I mean, it's a small hand, so that's alright. They're not too bad. Another really good thing that they did about this figure is the pinless joints. It just makes the figure pop that much more, not having to see those hideous joints, even though they're not that bad. I also really like how the paint almost extends to the diaphragm, so you can really get him crunching and you don't have to worry about it looking off or like the paint mismatching. Like, here's a little bit of an example of that, but you're not going to be looking at the back of the figure, you're going to be looking at the front, so this isn't too much of an issue. And they do kind of a similar thing with like the inside of the arm. Like, this dark blue is supposed to be like a shadowing type effect because of the cel shading, but it throws it off for me a bit, but it's not too bad. It's still a really cool looking Spider-Man figure. He's definitely in my top 10 Spider-Man figures, maybe top 5, but I'm a little biased because I love the Spider-Man 90s animated show. It's one of my favorites, so I'll probably have to give it to that. Now, I like to compare him to the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. This is like the new standard for Spider-Man figures, and as you can see, he's a very much darker blue, and he's a little bit taller, but for this being an older figure, well, I guess he's still pretty recently, but for the time being, he holds up pretty well, especially compared to this guy. Even like this is the new standard. And then to carry that comparison over, here's the Daredevil from the show that just came out. And as you can see, he has a lot of the black cell shading to kind of match what he looks like in the show. The lighting here is not doing this Daredevil justice. He looks so much better in person, I promise you. And they stand pretty similarly tall. Daredevil's a little bit taller, but that's a given. And another figure, I believe he's from the same line, I'm not entirely sure, is Kingpin. Now this guy is massive, especially compared to this Spider-Man. I believe this was supposed to go for a 90s animated series look, but it looks more like this version from the comics. This is a really great figure. I love it for what it's trying to be. I love the nostalgia it's giving me, and it's really capturing the 90s animated look really well. I love the cell shading. Some parts of it throw me off a bit. I really love the head sculpt and how it looks like the 90s animated cartoon. The only thing, I wish he was a little bit more stockier on his upper torso, because in the animated show he looks more like this. But overall, it's really great. He's gonna be amazing for my display. Well, looks like we got Zelda invading the set. Zelda, can I get your opinion on this figure? Well, looks like we got the Zelda seal of approval. Any last words? Any closing thoughts, I mean? Well, you heard it here, folks. Zelda gave this figure the seal of approval, so that, by all means, is a 4 out of 5. Now, I don't know if I can use the sound because of copyright, but we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video.